Hi guys, it's Miss Portillo. I wanted to start out by trying something a little bit different today instead of reading another chapter from our novel, which we will continue to do. But you guys are going to be the guinea pigs for my new game, and it is called Create the Plot. So the way it works is like this. The first thing that you need to have if you're a student or a parent trying to teach a student is a plot chart. A graphic organizer or chart is very, very simple to make. Most of the kids already know how to make it. We use the roller coaster in class, but as long as you have an incline and then it goes down on the other side, then you're pretty much good to go. So when we talk about fiction stories have a problem solution structure. So the character always has some kind of conflict, whether that's small or big, attempts to resolve it, something that changes them in the story. So a very basic organizer you could make at home just on some scratch paper like I did is one that looks kind of like this. Okay, create a plot. We have our exposition, which involves our characters and our setting. Our rising action is when we start to hear about problems the character or characters may be encountering, and as those problems go up and the drama increases, they finally hit their climax. So that's the top of our chart right there, and that is the turning point, something that changes in the story or something that causes the character to change. And then after that, we have our falling action. Our falling action just means that things are starting to calm down in the story. Maybe they're attempting to resolve the problem. And a lot of times the characters try to resolve the problem or fix it several different ways before they finally settle on the one that works. So we finally end in our solution to the problem and our resolution, which is just the way the story ends. All right, so how this game works, several things. First, you have several cards. So I've created them and labeled them so that I can figure out which ones are which easier. You're also welcome to do this at home. So my brown ones are my character cards. So in order to have a story, you have to have a character. Now it's meant to be random. It's meant to be fun and creative. So you don't choose the character. You lay them face down like with a card game, and you shuffle them, and you choose a different character every time. The next one I have, we're still in our exposition, we have our character. Now we have our setting cards. So that will complete our exposition. We'll have our characters and our setting. I also have conflicts cards. Now these are going to help with the rising action of the story. Again, you're going to draw one randomly and create a random conflict for the character. So not only is this fun and creative, but it gets to be really interesting because you have to fill in the blanks. You don't have all the cards to create your whole story. At some point, you have to finish the story for yourself. All right. Now, with fiction stories, there are several different types of text structure. So I've included cards for that as well. So the first one we have is character versus society. And behind that, I have different types of character versus society that your character might come up against. You're welcome to think up more. But society just means a larger body of people. So I have a corporation, a village or a city, or character versus the world. Those are all examples of character versus society. The next text structure is character versus the supernatural. And the kids always love to do character versus supernatural because they can get really creative with it, especially at Halloween time or Christmas. So the choices that I made for supernatural are a witch, a magic spell, a giant, a dragon, or a wizard. But you can choose anything supernatural that you like. And I know the kids like to choose zombies or video game characters. And you're welcome to recreate this at home and make it as fun as you can for the kids. The point is to get them thinking about it and overall to help them understand plot better. All right, the next one we have is character versus nature or Mother Nature. That could be anything from animals, weather like natural disasters, ocean water, or plants. Okay, so anything having to do with nature, that will be involved in that text structure. Next is character versus technology. A lot of my kids like to write about their video games coming to life or giant robots taking over the world, your kitchen appliances, computers, anything like that. As long as it's technological, it'll count for character versus technology. Next, now these last two are ones that we see quite a bit in fiction stories and that my students encounter most of the time. We have character versus character. Okay, so the character could have a conflict with a friend, maybe their neighbor, an animal, a pet. It could be anything as long as it's primarily one character going against one other character. And then the last one is character versus self. And my students talk about this. If they're having a struggle with themselves, that is internal as opposed to external on the outside, like the other text structures. So if it's internal, it's something the character is struggling with inside on their own. That might include self-esteem, maybe shyness, depression, or even feeling self-important. Okay, so we have our exposition, our character cards, our setting cards, and our conflict cards that are going to start out our rising action. And with those conflict cards, we have our text structures. So not only will you choose a conflict card in this game, you'll choose a text structure to go with it. Okay, so this will help guide your story. Now, the last thing I have, because I'm not going to write the whole story for you, the point is for you to do something fun and creative and come up with your own idea to write a story and to make sure you include all those plot elements. And hopefully doing this with you guys will help you understand plot better as well. So my last card are the solutions cards. So this is how we're going to solve the problem. If you've ever played the game Mad Libs, and I know most of you kids have, they give you a story or sentences, and you're supposed to fill a sentence in with a noun or a verb or an adjective. And a lot of times you don't get to see the text beforehand, so you just say something random that comes to your mind and it comes out really silly. Well, that was the point of this game. It's to get kids interested in writing, which in this day and age is very hard to do. Kids seem, in my experience, not to want to write. And so this incorporates writing, but it also incorporates reading. And plot elements are something with a lot of kids struggle with. So I hope this will help. All right. One other thing is I'm going to walk through the game with you, and I'm going to keep posting new versions of it. So we're going to create a story every time. And what I would like for the students to do is annotate, take notes about our plot. That's the point of your plot chart, drawing it out real quick in your writing journal, whatever, scratch paper, whatever you need to do. And I'm going to give you some of the plot elements, and I'm going to create my own story, okay? And based on my character, something that I'm going to do next time is I'm actually going to draw a picture of the character. And each week I'm going to add new characters, new settings, new conflicts, all new plot elements to keep it interesting and keep the ball rolling on that. All right, so first I have my character cards. I'm starting with my exposition, which is the bottom of my roller coaster or my plot chart, and that means I need my characters and my settings. So I'm going to draw a card randomly from in the middle. I'm not looking. Try to get just one. All right. My character's name is RubyDiamond. So RubyDiamond is going to be a girl. This is meant to be creative, so you can make your character whoever or whatever you want. RubyDiamond doesn't even have to be a real person, okay? It could be a sheep or a talking pillow. It doesn't matter. The point is that you get to make up the story. So I have RubyDiamond, so on my next video, I will have a picture drawn of RubyDiamond for you guys. Next, I'm going to choose a setting card. So let's see where RubyDiamond's story starts out. A basement. Okay, and these settings vary, guys. They vary all across the world. I just happen to have a card there that says basement. So I want you to think about the tone or the mood of a story that might start in a basement. Okay, the tone or mood, think about what comes to my mind is the Goosebumps book, the one about the basement. There's some kind of monster in the basement. I haven't read it for a long time. But if your story starts in the basement, it might have kind of a dark tone or mood. It might even be something kind of scary. So that already is starting to get my thoughts flowing and starting to think, well, what would RubyDiamond be doing in this basement? Okay, how is my story going to start out? All right, so I have RubyDiamond in a basement. Now I'm going to draw my conflict card, and conflict is another word for problem. So what I'm doing right now is I'm going to find out what Ruby's problem is going to be. Okay, let's draw one. Okay, oh, this is a good one. Ruby's problem is every time she reads something, it comes to life, and she does not get a choice. So let's say she's reading a book about princesses and knights and dragons. And every time she reads a book, no matter what it is, she doesn't get to choose what comes to life, but something does. So if I were reading a fairy tale book about princesses and knights and dragons, what do you think you would not want to come to life out of that whole book? Probably the dragon, okay? So for example, if she's reading that type of book, maybe the dragon comes to life, okay? So you get to choose what comes to life, what starts that conflict or that problem, okay? So I have Ruby Diamond in a basement, and every time she reads a book, maybe she's reading in the basement. Maybe that's where she likes to go read. Now I have to choose a character text structure to see who her conflict is with. Okay, so her problem is that every time she reads, something comes to life. But the card I've chosen is character versus technology. So somehow I have to incorporate her problem of reading and something coming to life in with technology. Okay, so that could be a computer, a robot, any number of things. All right, so that's where it starts to get tricky. Now, I don't want to do the solution just yet. What I want to do right now is start thinking and brainstorming about my story. So while you're thinking about that, the first thing you can do is fill out your plot chart. You know your characters and your setting, and you know the problem, and you know the text structure because we gave that to you. So I would write Ruby Diamond, basement. I would write her problem, her conflict right here, which is every time she reads something, she doesn't get a choice, something comes to life, and that it is character versus technology. Now I'm going to sit and think about my story for a minute. What I like to do when I create a story is I actually like to draw a picture of the character first. But I'm thinking that Ruby Diamond is a girl, and I'm thinking she's someone who... Ruby makes me think she might like the color red or shades of red. And that's an obvious thing. You can make your character whatever you want. And diamond makes me think of sparkly, shiny things. So maybe Ruby Diamond is someone who likes the color red and has an outgoing, shiny, sparkly personality. Again, you don't have to think like that. You can make the character whatever you want. But that's what I'm thinking for my character. So next time, when I post a new video of this game for you to write about, you can see a picture that I drew of Ruby Diamond. But again, it's your interpretation. You can make it whatever you want. All right, so let's say I'm trying to picture this girl wearing red sitting in a basement. Now, if her problem is that every time she reads something, it comes to life, then I would guess or infer that she must like to read a lot. But maybe she can't because she has this problem. Now, if Ruby were a student, she'd have to read things all the time. It might make it very hard for her to go to school. So she's sitting in the basement, but I have to incorporate technology into my problem. When I'm thinking about it, that's not really a problem because in today's day and age, everything for kids is technological. So you guys are on your computers, your phones, your iPads, whether you're at school or whether you're home, you're even reading when you're on video games and it's laying out the plot of the video game for you. So I'm going to say that Ruby is sitting in the basement reading on her iPad or her tablet. Okay, so I have to think about the fact that she has this problem. And let's see, what's she going to be reading about? Well, let's just go with the princesses, dragons, and knights. In order to have a problem, you have to discover that it's a problem first, right? You don't know it's a problem until it pops up as a problem. So let's say she's sitting in the basement on her tablet, her iPad, and she is reading a story about princesses and princes and dragons. Let's say she's reading Shrek. Okay, maybe she's reading Shrek. Shrek has those elements in it. It's got a lot of fairy tale elements in it, magic, talking animals, things like that. So let's say she's on her tablet, again, reading about Shrek. When all of a sudden, the dragon, and if you've seen Shrek, you remember how big that dragon was. The tablet, the iPad starts to shake and starts to move. So maybe she's starting to get a little bit scared because it's never been a problem. She doesn't know what's going on. And all of a sudden, in her basement, this huge purple dragon pops out and is roaring at her and breathing fire and throwing flames. And I'm sure the dragon's confused too because it doesn't know why it's there all of a sudden instead of in its own story. Okay? And that's where I'm going to stop. because something I want you guys to do is take what I'm telling you today and you're going to turn it into a story. You're going to help me finish this plot to create this story. Okay? Now, I am going to give you a solution. All right? That's where our last set of cards comes into play, our solution cards. So whatever I pick has to be incorporated into my solution. Okay? So let me pick a solution card. Okay. My solution card says, the power to rewrite something. That's perfect for Ruby Diamond because every time she reads something, something she doesn't want comes to life and she doesn't get to choose what it is. So since she's reading and these things are coming to life, how about the power to rewrite the story? What if instead of the dragon being in the story of Shrek that she's reading on her tablet, she rewrites that dragon as a bunny rabbit or as a flower? And instead, that pops out of her story. Much less dangerous than a dragon. Okay? So again, if you want a copy of these cards, I'm happy to post pictures of the different scenarios and solutions. But what I would recommend is that you make your own completely new cards. Okay? And if you forget which cards you're supposed to make, well, first of all, I made each one of mine on a different color paper that helped me identify the cards, and I labeled them on the back. And I put them in separate stacks. So I have my character cards that are brown. My setting cards are blue. I have my conflict cards are a light blue. The point is that you get each card a different color, or you can just label them all and put them in separate stacks. So you need character cards, setting cards, conflict cards, and again, within those conflict cards, you also have your 6 different fiction text structures. And then at the end, you have your solutions cards. Okay, so that pretty much lays out the entire story for you. All you have to do as you're going and picking those cards, every time you pick a card, you fill out the part of the graphic organizer, the chart, for your plot. So based on the cards that I have, I would already have Ruby Diamond as my main character. My setting is her basement. And remember, settings can change. They don't have to stay in the same spot. Maybe Ruby Diamond runs way away from the basement and gets away from the dragon, and that's going to change my setting completely. Okay? Maybe it takes her a while to figure out that she can rewrite the story. So that would be part of my falling action. So again, you've got your exposition, you've got your problem, and you know its text structure. Now all you have to do is figure out a turning point for your climax, ways she tries to solve the problem, and how she ultimately solves the problem and how the story ends. Okay, so that might sound like a lot, but if you can fill out most of your graphic organizer with your cards, all you have to do is come up with 2 final elements of your plot chart. Okay? All right, so as promised, when I post another video, I will have drawn a picture of Ruby Diamond for you. Maybe I'll draw a picture of Ruby in the basement with that dragon. But what I would like you to do before next time is come up with a story and message me or email me your stories. I want you to finish the story we started today. Next time, I will model for you an example of my plot chart with Ruby Diamond and the story that I came up with for her, and of course a picture. And next time, we'll also try a new set of cards. I'm so excited to see what you guys write about and your plot charts. All right, get busy, and I'll see you next time.